Good Erev Shabbos, Parshas Noach. I would like to, we're learning Shvuot, so we're going to do from Perek Vav Halacha Aleph. The Rambam talks about the union of Heter Nedarim, goes through telling us how we do it. We just came from Chedesh Tishrei, where there's 2 sets of Heter Nedarim, and that needs a discussion on its own, how they work and why they work and why we have 10 and why we have Kol Niduy. But it's beyond our capabilities, and with the time frame, we'd like to keep it within. Halacha Beis, the Rambam says something that sounds very interesting. It has no source in Torah Sheksav. This is what we learned from Moshe Rabbeinu, that he shouldn't be mechal himself. The Shvuot, derech kalus reish b'shat nefesh, in a light-hearted way, easy form. Kinyish and Namar, and here he quotes a pasuk that the Yachalel comes to Lashon, the Chilalta Shem Elekech, Opshrech. And then Aval Im Nichan, Chazabay Chacham Matala. If he has Charata, then the Chacham Matala. The interesting part here is that the mucker for this is a Gemara Chagiga Daf Yud, where the Mishnah says the same thing. They have no source. Comes the Gemara, Tanya Rabbi Lezer, and brings a bunch of sukkim, different sukkim. Till the Gemara says, I would tell him, it says, he can, but others can't. Which is what the Rambam is quoting. Why the Rambam adds that whole piece needs beer. Could have just said what it says in the Gemara. And then he brings, the Gemara ends up saying, Shmuel is the only one that you can frag up. Everybody else has questions. And then they say, Shmuel less leperch. What shot Shmuel? Who ain't a meichel aval acher meichel? That was in the expression of Chabad, it's meichel, and in many of the Svarim it says mem yud ches lamed meichel. When Chana says that Shmuel is dying because it says kol yetzim v'yasa, then right away it just said leyaver devaray. What's leyachil devaray? So we say the little Moshe can say yeshli chilul v'lo yachil latzma. He shouldn't be mechal to himself. Acher mechilin. So some of the Achreidim explain it at length. Sort of Bill Yashiv says that even though the pasuk means to aser neder, but it would have been messed lashon leyaver neder. The fact that it says the strange lashon, it comes to tell you that you shouldn't be meichel your dibur on your own, but others can. The Rambam adds derech kalus reish b'shat nefesh. Where do you get it from? The Marsha is bothered. How do you say Perek Ba'aver when there's a lot of Mekayers in the Gemara? So Marsha says these Mekayers aren't so clear. They're not Megufei the Krah. It doesn't say clearly in the pasuk. That was the Rambam in the Sefer HaMitzvahs, Mitzvahs Es Tzadik Hey, writes a similar line of Bo Lona Kabbalah Shechachim Gam Kimat Neder Shechachim Kimat Neder Lakel Shvuot. Here he quotes the Gemara. Who ain't a meichel am meichel? They doesn't reason no raya. They said that the head of the derm is peireyach ba'avet. It's a shrimp. It's fleet in the luft. So again, what does that mean? Okay, but the Shah says that it's not. It doesn't say clearly. Rashi says there. Also says a similar. Ma'at remez yesh b'mikra. Epis haremez adah. Ve'ein al ma lismech, but there's not. You can't rely on it. She came muscle chachamim and Torah says, that's what Rashi says. But it's still not clear. Is there a makkah? Not a makkah. What's going on here? Rav Perlstein on the Sefer Mitzvahs Rasag, he asks, the Rambam is mizakish Torah lebeitrei. He goes, he takes two sides. The pasuk says, the Gemara Mishnah says, and the Rambam, and then the Gemara says, Yesh lama yisrach. So the Gemara is arguing on the Mishnah and brings a pasuk, and the Rambam says the Mishnah, and then says the Gemara. Make up your mind. He says, doesn't make sense. I think the Rambam answers the question. If you read the words in the Rambam. The Rambam is saying, very simple. There is no raya from the pasuk. There's no diuk, none of the shleish eser midas, and none of the diukim that we usually use to learn something in the pasuk. It doesn't have it. The only reason we're saying this because Moshe B told us, that's a pasuk. And not that. And the Rambam adds that this is what Moshe B put in. I'm understood this in Moshe Benu's vet. When a meichel derech kalis reish b'shot nefesh, it doesn't say it anywhere. It's not anything. And that's why the Rambam and the Gemara and the Mishnah don't argue. Yesh meichel, there was something that they made a smach, but it doesn't say it in the Torah. So that's why the Rambam says. It doesn't say it's perichem b'av. The Rambam says ein loy ikke klal b'Torah. There's nothing in Torah that says it that we would ever come to. Moshe Rabbeinu taught us how to learn the Taich pasuk. Usually, we have a system that brings us to say that. Comes again, Moshe Rabbeinu teaches us how to read a pasuk. You're gonna malamed chumash sheichet Moshe. Okay, sagen azay. Then the hoche gimel, sagt der Rambam, vein adam yochel lahat shvuos atzma. Can't be mati your own shvuot. There are different opinions in this. However, the Radvaz says, so steht doch in Plätze, der Chochem matil atzmai. So he says, Niduy, but not Shvuot. He doesn't explain why Niduy and Cherem is different. Why Niduy and Kapon is different. We're going to focus on Niduy. There's a Yehuda that machlekes where the Niduy is min haTorah mit Rabbanan. Sifri Zuta says clearly when it says by Miriam on the pasuk that tisoger shivas yomim, that she be locked up for 7 days, that nikan l'nidim in haTorah. The Mari ben Lev in his tshuva writes Nebeshem the Marik that he's that looks from the riv that nidim midrabanan and therefore sveika lekula. So that's why I need the Rabban. Okay, come many opinions. Rama Milchas Talmud Torah writes Talmud Chacham shenida atzmai, and even if he was nida atzmai, that's plain. That means he said it's depending on somebody else's opinion or thoughts. I feel al dover shechayev al niduy. Harei mei for atzmai. You can be made for yourself. And the Ravid says it can't be because Yehuda was made himself in Niduy, and why wasn't he matter for himself? Upon him, the Makkah, the Rambam is in the Gemara made cut. It says, "Amrav Gidol Amarav Daf Yud Zayin Talmud Chochem and Nade La'atzmei Umei for La'atzmei." Say clear, he can nade himself, he can make himself. Okay, as I state. I want to analyze it for a few minutes. Niduy. It's an interesting concept. We don't have it today. We don't use it today really much. It's more of a it's more of a theory than a fact. So he says that the din of Het Nidar and Perlstein Ba'avir is learned from Pasuk, and the din of Het Nidar is learned from Layachala, that only Acher Mechil, and that Heit Moshe Galant. You seen that? So how do you say that by Niduy is Mater Satz? So you can tell me it's not Kodesh Chachamim, but we have a rule called the Tikkun Rabbanan Kenderais Tikkun, and in Torah that you're not Mater Satz when you're on passages. Why do they do this? Second, why is the Niduy in Hilchos Talmud Torah? So you're going to tell me because Niduy is brought down because of Bizui Talmid Chacham. But the Rambam brings 24 things that Menad is not, and then very few of them have nothing to do with Bizui Talmid Chacham. And next the question: the Rambam throughout the Sefer mentions Niduy many times. So why do you have to bring all 24 here in Hilchos Talmud Torah? If you look at the Shulchan Aruch, there's two things. First of all, everyone is brought in its place. Second is there's a special koteret in Shulchan Aruch which is called Dinei Niduy. There he brings the 24 things, but why are we bringing it all up? Okay. What seems to be that the Rambam is telling us that Niduy is about Kavod Talmid Chacham. And that's why he puts in Hilchos Talmud Torah by Mitzvah about Darta, where he talks about. Where does he get this from? A Gemara. Gemara Brachas Daf Yutes. Am Rabbi Shua ben Levi be'esr Rabba Mekayves Bezdin Menadin al Kveid Harav. Clearly, Kula Shenidim is the same. Now, if you go to the lists, they're not the same list, and they're the same 24, but it doesn't matter. It's all that. I asked you, not everything has to do with cover of a Talmud Chacham. Zog de Meiri in Brachis that Metzinu Shemenade Amisha Mezalzel B'Talmidei Rachomim Adu Sheyekol B'Haros. It says sometimes we're Menade not only for being Mezalzel in the Talmud Chacham itself, but in his Hara. And these are the Haras that the Chachamim chose to be Mezalzel. Okay, if that's the case, Yesh Leimar, that's why a Talmud Chacham that was Menade himself can be Mefer. Because the whole reason that we don't let you be Mefer, the Rambam added a line. Not because you can't do it. It's because what you're doing is der Kalas Reish V'Shat Nefesh. But Niduy, which is intended for the Talmud Chacham's honor, so he is the beneficiary of Niduy. So he can't be said that he's lacking in that by him it's Kalos Reish V'Shat Nefesh on Niduy. So maybe he can be mad to himself. So in other words, it's not a chesaron called the tikkun. Because this is what the tikkun is. This is what the whole halach is. It's not a chesaron in you doing it. It's a chesaron in you doing it with derech kalos reish v'shat nefesh. This is not derech kalos reish v'shat nefesh. The Ravid asks, why wasn't Yehuda matter himself? So I guess the Mishnah answers. There are different types of Niduy. He was Menad himself, Hadas, his father. Okay. And more so, he wasn't sure whether he could carry out his promise. The Ragachav is Oktavot, based in Yishalmi, that Ben Layach ain't leheter shayli. You can't be Medu Hataras Nadar. And the office had a din of Ben Layach. That's what he goes by. And therefore, it can have Heter Nadar. There's a machlek. We know the discussions that go on and on about the status of the office, what they were. But I would like to suggest, based on what we're saying, a very simple thing. That although we consider them Yisrael, but since there was no Kabbalah Satira, They definitely didn't have the din of a Rav or a Talmud Chacham in that aspect to say that they can be matter their own neder, since it was Kedem Matan Torah. So therefore, the din of matter la'atzmai, which is based on being a Talmud Chacham, being a Rav, that's the whole lineage of Niduy is the covet of that. That they didn't have. The Mela, they weren't able to be matter their own neder. A good Erev Shabbos, Hatzlacha Rabbah, and everybody enjoy the great Shabbos, the first Shabbos. The Rebbe speaks about being the first Shabbos of the year of being Mamshech Tishrei into the year. So Zayin, Hatzlacha Rabbah, Meflogen, Shot Tevim, Tzlachas, Nal Inyan. Sei gesund. Hatzlacha.